So I just saw Scream 6, the new Scream movie, which is also a horror movie, where now Ghostface is taking his kills in New York, the biggest city and the biggest state, biggest city in the world. So now this will be a whole lot better in the kill count that I'm doing, and also in the movie review that's gonna make it very easy. So here's the review. So the movie actually begins in a restaurant where film study professor named Laura Kane, who actually is waiting at a bar for her date, knowing that somehow she got a call from her date saying that she'll be running late, but he actually is want to play a game with her, saying that she actually sees something red, knowing how she went outside of the bar, figured that she didn't see anything red, but she actually was told by her date that meet her at a alley, knowing how she is walking towards an alley, knowing how she was actually being about to be killed, by which the voice turns into the Ghostface killer, where she is being murdered by the Ghostface, knowing how is actually the first kill, which Professor Kane was murdered, knowing that it was actually one of her students, whose name Jason, is actually the killer. But she is not the main killer of the movie, which she's actually, but she was killed because she gave him a failing grade. So now he knew how he plot with his roommate Greg, to kill the Carpenter sisters. But he got another call from a different Ghostface who actually play a similar game with Jason, which he showed him of Greg being killed, being chopped into pieces in the fridge. The second kill, and the third was actually Jason, who's killed by another Ghostface, but is actually different because he didn't care about the movie. Now we see Sam is actually visit the therapist, talking to Dr. Stone about what she experienced from the last year movie, which she's now living in New York with Tara, who's now in college with Chad and Mindy, the twins, along with Mindy's girlfriend Nikita and Chad's roommate Ethan and Quinn, which we knew how the therapist, Dr. Stone, is not comfortable talking about what has happened, which we knew that Sam wanted to get Tara out of the party, keeping her safe, which people who now haze her for framing Richie kids who actually the Ghostface killer for the murders, knowing how we see Quinn's father, Detective Wade Brady, who questions her about the murders of Jason and Greg, but we knew how the Ghostface mask was actually used by Richie and Amber, knowing how she has nothing to do with it. But we knew how everyone is actually terrified. So she and Terry had to stick together, by which we knew how we see how the Ghostface arrived using Richie's phone to call Sam, who actually came to attack her, but he killed the bystanders, 4 and 5, and 6 the cashier in the store, which using his gun, which kills him, knowing how they escape, which the police actually arrive. That is when we saw the FBI agent whose name Kirby Reeds, who was actually the survivor of the 2011 fourth Ghostface killings, which we see how this one was actually would be similar of what Kirby has to go through, which Gale Weathers have actually arrived. But Cindy Prescott is nowhere in the movie, knowing that she is in hiding after what happened last year. But now we see how Dr. Stone, who was actually watching a horror movie, being killed by a ghost face, who's the sixth victim. The seventh victim, who's actually stabbed through the nose, and leave behind the mask, which actually used by Charlie Walker and Jill Walkers from the fourth movie, which stole Sam's files, knowing how all this actually happens, which we knew how this actually could be a puzzle, by which we knew how the friends are actually having a gathering around meeting, knowing that they could accuse Quinn and Ethan, knowing that they're new to the group, and Mindy accused her girlfriend of killing people. But we knew how this actually happens. But Ghostface actually attacked Quinn in their apartment, knowing that Danny, Sam's neighbor and now turned boyfriend, who actually saw Ghostface in the apartment, knowing how he attacks Mindy and stabbed Akita in the gut, by which we knew how everything is actually how it happens, in which now we see how everyone has saw Nika have actually been falling towards the ground to her death, knowing how this actually meant something happened, knowing how all the Ghostface killings saw how Detective Bailey realized that he is off the case, knowing of Quinn's death. So now she decided to help, by which we knew how the other Ghostface have could have left a mask, knowing how they met up to the abandoned theater where Gail have said it is actually where she found all the Ghostface killers, which is a shrine, which of course all the victims have actually is there, knowing how everyone have actually realized what have happened, because the mask that killed Anika was left, which it was worn by Roman Bridger, who was actually the third Ghostface killer. But we knew how we see Gail actually got a call from Ghostface, who tortured her about Dewey's death and killing her boyfriend, the eighth victim, knowing how we see Ghostface attack her and about to kill her as well. But she surprisingly isn't dead. So the group decided to trap Ghostface with Kirby, knowing how everyone is actually having a subway by which they're going to trap the Ghostface killer. But Ethan and Millie was actually, Mindy was actually separated. Who actually was attacked by the killer on the subway train by which Sam have another vision by her father Billy Loomis, by which reminded her not to trust nobody and only defend herself, taking her knife from the previous murders, which of course that could be something far more different. By which we knew how Bailey told Sam that Kirby was fired from the FBI for being mentally unstable for what happened on the murders. By which we see the other Ghostface arrive, and which a second one attacked Chad, which Sam and Tara tried to attack and escape. But Bailey arrived, but he shot Kirby, making him the third Ghostface killer, by which Ethan, who is the second, and the first one happens to be the alive Quinn, who actually set this all up using Mickey's mask and Mrs. Loomis' mask from the second Ghostface, mean Scream killers, who happens to be Sam and Tara's grandmother. And the mask was belonged to Billy, by which they actually did all of this was actually a shrine to avenge Richie, who happens to be Bailey's elder son, knowing of what they have to do now. But we see how Sam and Tara have to fight, by which Tara was attacked by Ethan, by which we see how Tara, using the knife Billy used for his murders, and stab Ethan in his mouth, by which we see Sam using the gun to shoot Quinn, the ninth victim, in which we see how she attacked Bailey, using the costume and the voice to taunt him before stabbing him to death, making him the 10th victim, which we knew he actually was killed, in which we see how both Sam and Tara, realizing that they are not her father. But Nathan arrived, which Kirby actually kills Ethan, the 11th victim, using the using the TV that killed Stu, the killers of the first Scream movie, which they've actually are taken to the hospital, by which Kirby is headed towards the hospital. And of course, Chad, who's still alive, which no one never thought of how he actually still alive, knowing how Sam saw the mask where Billy wore, which she would have followed in his footsteps, but she is not her father. So they decided to live their life in New York the way that they always wanted to be. And that's the end of the movie. Which I really love. This movie has 11 kills, including 3 killers as the Ghostface, which all actually is a tribute of all the Ghostface killings from the first movie to last year's movie, which of course all happens to be family. But of course, we knew how Neve, Campbell, who didn't return to the movie as Cindy Prescott, knowing how all this actually happens with Paramount. But all in all, I really love this movie, which of course I actually enjoyed last year's movie, was incredible. So hopefully there will be a Scream 7 where we might see a different Ghostface, but it's not going to be a revenge killing or a movie, a tribute of a movie, but something far more different. We might not know, but we're going to see one day. So anyway, like, this video, subscribe for more, and comment what you think about the movie review. You guys can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page and Twitch. Until then, this is Anime Guy 100 saying signing out. Laters, and be safe.